Hello dears, good morning. It's me, Miss Lincy, your English teacher. Nice to meet you again. Okay, now, welcome to the world of English. So, before we begin, let's ask the blessings from God, the Almighty, so that let His Holy Spirit enlighten us, help us, and guide us through. So, dear children, today we are going to study a new chapter from our course book Honeysuckle. The title of the chapter is Taro'S Reward. It is the third chapter. Taro'S Reward is a popular fairy tale in Japan. It is the story of a son named Taro who was a loving son, wanted to fulfill the wishes of his parents. So children, before getting into the chapter, can I ask you a question? Okay, then tell me, what are the qualities of a good child? Yes, you are right. Obedience, respect, honesty, sincerity, loyalty, compassion, patience, and so on. Very good. And let me ask you one more question. Are you a good child? Yes, you are. Good. Okay, now we will move on to the chapter. Chapter 3. Taro's Reward. A young woodcutter named Taro lived with his mother and father on a lonely hillside. All day long, he chopped wood in the forest. Though he worked very hard, he earned very little money. This made him sad, for he was a thoughtful son and wanted to give his old parents everything they needed. Now I will give you the explanation of the paragraph. So, Taro was a poor boy. How did he earn his living? Yes, he earned money by cutting woods from the jungle. But he earned very little money. So, he decided to work harder than before in order to fulfill the wishes of his parents, as he was a thoughtful and loving son. Children, we will move on to the next paragraph. One evening, when Taro and his parents were sitting in a corner of their hut, a strong wind began to blow. It whistled through the cracks of the hut, and everyone felt very cold. Suddenly, Taro's father said, "I wish I had a cup of sake. It would warm me and do my old heart good." So here it says that one evening, Taro and his parents were sitting in their hut when a strong cold wind blew through the cracks of the hut. So his father, who was very old, felt very cold, and he wished to get a cup of sake to feel warm. Sake is a popular and costly drink of Japan. Children, we will move on to the next paragraph. This made Taro sadder than ever, for the heartwarming drink called sake was very expensive. How do I earn more money? He asked himself. How do I get a little sake for my poor old father? He decided to work harder than before. Next morning, Taro jumped out of bed earlier than usual and made his way to the forest. He chopped and cut as the sun climbed, and soon he was so warm that he had to take off his jacket. His mouth was dry and his face was wet with sweat. My poor old father, he thought, if only he was as warm as I. And with that, he began to chop even faster, thinking of the extra money he must earn to buy the sake to warm the old man's bones. So, here it says that Taro felt very sad as he did not have enough money to buy the expensive sake. So, he decided to work harder than before, and the next day he woke up early and went to the forest to cut woods. After cutting for a long time, he began to sweat and he took off his jacket as he was feeling very hot. His mouth became very dry and he felt very thirsty. Children, we will read the next paragraphs together. Then suddenly, Taro stopped chopping. What was that sound he heard? Could it possibly be rushing water? Taro could not remember ever seeing or hearing a rushing stream in that part of the forest. He was thirsty. The axe dropped out of his hands and he ran in the direction of the sound. Taro saw a beautiful little waterfall hidden behind a rock. Kneeling at a place where the water flowed quietly, he cupped a little in his hands and put it to his lips. Was it water? Or was it sake? He tasted it again and again, and always it was the delicious sake instead of cold water. I will give you the detailed explanation of the paragraph. While cutting the wood, suddenly he heard the sound of falling water, and it wondered him as there was no river earlier. As he was very thirsty, he ran towards the sound of water and he found a waterfall behind a rock. So, he went near to the water and drank some water. And it surprised him that the water had the taste of sake. Now I will read the next paragraphs for you. Taro quickly filled the pitcher he had with him and hurried home. The old man was delighted with the sake. After only one swallow of the liquid, he stopped shivering and did a little dance in the middle of the floor. That afternoon, a neighbor stopped by for a visit. Taro's father politely offered her a cup of the sake. The lady drank it greedily and thanked the old man. Then Taro told her the story of the magic waterfall. Thanking them for the delicious drink, she left in a hurry. By nightfall, she had spread the story throughout the whole village. Now I will give you the explanation of the paragraph. So, Taro became very happy when the water tasted as sake, and he filled some sake in his pitcher and went back home quickly. And he gave the drink to his father. When the father drank it, he stopped shivering and became warmer than ever. So, he started dancing with happiness. After some time, a neighbor visited him, and the father gave her a cup of sake. Also, Taro the son told her all about the magic waterfall. As soon as she left the hut, she spread the news all over the village. Children, we will move on to the next two paragraphs. That evening, there was a long procession of visitors to the woodcutter's house. Each man heard the story of the waterfall and took a sip of the sake. In less than an hour, the pitcher was empty. Next morning, Taro started for work even earlier than the morning before. He carried with him the largest pitcher he owned, for he intended to, first of all, to go to the waterfall. When he reached it, he found to his great surprise all his neighbors there. They were carrying pitchers, jars, buckets, anything they could find to hold the magic sake. Then one villager knelt and held his mouth under the waterfall to drink. He drank again and then shouted angrily, "Water! Nothing but water!" Others also tried, but there was no sake, only cold water. So, here it says that when the villager heard about the magic waterfall, they all rushed to Taro's home and tasted the sake, and so the pitcher became empty. Next morning, when Taro went to the forest, he could see all the villagers reach the forest before him. Soon the people reached the waterfall and tasted the sake. But it tasted just like water. So one by one started tasting the water, but it was the water itself. Children, I will read the next two paragraphs for you. "We have been tricked," shouted the villagers. "Where is Taro? Let us drown him in this waterfall." But Taro had been wise enough to slip behind a rock when he saw how things were going. He was nowhere to be found. Muttering their anger and disappointment, the villagers left the place one by one. Taro came out from his hiding place. Was it true? He wondered. Was the sake a dream? Once more, he caught a little liquid in his hand and put it to his lips. It was the fine sake. To the thoughtful son, the magic waterfall gave the delicious sake. To everyone else, it gave only cold water. Now we will discuss the paragraphs in detail. When the villagers came to know it was not the sake but the water itself, they got angry and planned to draw him in the water. But he was not found anywhere, as he was hiding behind a rock. So the angry villagers went back home. After they went back home, Taro tasted the water again, but to his surprise, he still felt that it was sake. The waterfall was giving Taro the sake, while to the villagers it was giving plain cold water. Then I will read the last paragraph for you. The story of Taro and his magic waterfall reached the Emperor of Japan. He sent for the young woodcutter and rewarded him with 20 pieces of gold for having been so good and kind. Then he named the most beautiful fountain in the city after Taro. This, said the emperor, was to encourage all children to honor and obey their parents. So, here it says that the story of Taro's care for his parents reached the king. So, he awarded Taro 20 pieces of gold to encourage other children to take care of their parents. So, dear children, from this chapter, we can understand that we should take care of our parents and elders. God helps only those who take good care of their parents. Children, hope you could follow me. So now it's time to wind up the session today. I request all of you to like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.